Καλησπέρα σας. Welcome everyone. May I just introduce this very good friend of mine, Benjamin Labatut. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
What makes somebody really interesting and definitely more interesting than you are?
Well, the first thing is time. Time is the most important thing. When you have a love for art or literature, you are writing one book at a time. But if you're honest, you kind of have the hope that by trial and error, there will be a paragraph or a moment in each book that stands the test of time, that actually has worth, because it's very rare. To me, one of the hardest things about writing is how much of the text that you produce is absolutely throwaway. And people don't understand that because they read novels which you can throw away entirely, because it's almost as if there's nothing there. I have never wanted to write like myself. I've always wanted, and I still do, write like the people I most admire. My books are imitations, mostly. Fundamentally imitations. I think that imitation is much more important than people think. I think that originality, unless you are an original, is a waste of effort. Because writing is one of the things that you really cannot fake. It's like dancing. Like you can't fake writing. You cannot write out of a voice that is not your own. Because the book has the shape of your mind. Because we're also caught by this mechanism that divides things into truth and falsehood, in these dualities. And what I'm writing now is about logic. And when you start to understand truth from the point of view of logic, you really see how the developments of logic have led to the modern world.
So what you're writing now is about logic?
Yes, it's called The Gods of Logic, because you have to, I think we have to bring those things together. We have so far brought them together. Like, the modern world rests on a sort of DNA. It's a type of logic that was created in 1850 by an English mathematician who was crossing a field in England. And he had an epiphany. And God told him that he would discover the rules of human thought.
What's the difference between truth and reality?
There's a big difference. Reality is much better because it includes all the other values, no? It includes the things that we value the most: dream, hallucination, memory. All of these things have sort of a inseparable mix of truth and falsity, and falsehood. They are that we have been very, very successful at separating things into their sort of constituents. And if you go all the way down, in reality, as far as I've gotten, you come to these realms of truth and falsehood, these ones and zeros, this information, these sort of, and there, when you get there, you see that the sort of level of reality that we inhabit isn't like that at all. It's a mix, it's a dirty, sort of promiscuous mixture of the two. And I think that is where we are most at ease, right? But the wonderful thing about us is that we can intuit this other realm exists. And we build our dirty, dirty civilizations on top of it.
So do you actually manage to stop your mind from thinking?
You can never stop your mind from thinking.
One of the things that you can do in order to achieve epiphany? Like say that I'm going to work every day, I'm going to write every day, no matter what.
I don't really think that is a road to epiphany. Because Even when you see people who are very open, who are living lives that seem very wild, savage, everything we do, moment by moment, whatever type of life you're living, sort of settles your mind. It gives it a shape. And we all become, we need the shape of our minds to understand the world, to understand ourselves, to dress our kids and send them to school. So epiphanies are very dangerous. You know, a sheep herder in the desert can hear a voice in a cave, and then you have waves of violence, right, that just sweep over history. A carpenter suddenly understands that he is also God. All of these things are historically, they've happened over and over again. What I do in my books is that I try to find scientific epiphanies because they are very particular. Most epiphanies will kind of die like a flower. They bloom, they go away, and nothing is left. Science is wonderful in that it is sustained by, it's like a epiphany generating mechanism.
But science never managed to fill the gap of religion. Do you manage to get into this Buddhist meditation where you float?
Because I've done a lot of meditation because
I know, that's why I'm asking.
I kind of lost my mind at the right age.
What's the right age to lose your mind through?
30.
Okay.
So
you're older than that.
I'm 45. When you're 30, you've had time to build a mind, which is not something that everybody has. I mean, let's be honest, no? It takes effort. It takes effort. You have to make the most important decisions of your life. And you have up till 30. I mean, first you have to build a mind, and then you have to have the stamina and the balls to break it, and then get it back. I did not prepare to be read by others or have a career at all. I did the contrary, which has meant that even though I'm, of course, enjoying speaking to all of you, there is a part of me that doesn't really care a lot. And that makes me rude at times.
No, but I think it's a condition to be creative.
I think it's a condition. And then you have to, well, conditions change and you change. I believe in possession. No, I think it's here, you invented possession.
In what sense did we invent possession?
This is by another writer, by Roberto Calasso. He explains that possession is the highest form of human intelligence. No?
But not of love.
Well, that's the possession that most of us, we let ourselves be taken over by love. But we don't let ourselves be taken over by the other gods, which are still there, deep in the unconscious. And not even that deep, really. I mean, I'm guessing if you're Greek and you're used to them, you created half of them. But for us, I mean, I'm walking along the streets here, and just like you are possessed by love, by beauty, you can be willingly or unwillingly possessed.
What does boredom mean to you?
Well, I think humanity's greatest sins, and every time I think that men and women betray themselves out of boredom, more than anything else. And
isn't boredom a condition for change? You like change. You get so bored that you say, okay, I have to change that. I can no longer do it.
It has to do with the functioning of our nervous system. And I know that because in modernity, we have created a world without boredom. Because we are a hunger. We are really deep down. The mind is a hunger. It is that, no? There's a story about the creator god of the Vedas. His name is Prajapati. Prajapati, the first thing he creates is fire, Agni, and then death. And they are both hungers, and they turn on him immediately, right? And I think that's kind of the state that we live in. We are tortured by our ravenous mind. And that's why we create art, And that's why it is out of boredom, out of sheer boredom. We punish human beings with boredom. We put them in cages. This whole culture seems built on beauty, no? Which is the antidote to boredom. It's not wealth, no? It's not wealth. Money doesn't make a difference. Rich people are more bored, right? But it is beauty, and that's, to me, the reason why beauty, wherever you are, is kind of the thing that we are so addicted to. Beauty is something that gets torn apart in definition. It doesn't require it. It doesn't really matter what it is. What it matters is that it turns us on. It's like a whole, and actually the fact, okay, beauty exists in the world. I've never been much of the idea that it's in the eye of the beholder. However, one should never forget, and I cannot speak about beauty without speaking about the counterpart of it, which is so fundamental.
It's interesting because I was reading a book on gardening, and it said that when God created the Garden of Eden, the first job that a human being ever got was a gardener.
And we fucked it up.
But now you're into plants, right? You like that?
Yeah, I'm a gardener.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. I mean,
what do you find in that?
Beauty.
Silence?
Beauty. Absolute, violent, incontainable. Like, I am when other gardeners have come to my garden, it's a small garden. It's not, I don't know, very, very small. Not even the size of the stage. They come here and they're like, you're doing everything wrong. Like, you're not letting anything, like, you're planting one thing on top of the other. Like, this doesn't go here, this doesn't go there. And I'm like, yeah.
Exactly, because it's your garden. It's possession.
Yeah.
It's a different definition of possession.
You know what? Art, to me, is the worst possible example, because art today is so contaminated by ideas that I find completely toxic. Like, people will ask me if I'm writing something new or different. And I'm like, why? Because readers want something different, or the market, or am I gonna... Why would I do that? Like, I will write what I am interested in and nothing more. And if people don't like it, well, maybe they don't like it then. Who cares? There's this sort of... It's, again, out of boredom and out of sort of capitalistic hunger for the new. But to me, Nabokov said something beautiful, because they said, like, hey, you know, like, all your books are kind of the same. And he said, yeah, you know, minor authors can sound like one thing in one book and then change and be another. Like, he said, like, oh, I can only do what my genius dictates. And I think that's beautiful. I think that is an attitude that we would all benefit from, no? You do what your inner self dictates, even if it's not that good. No, even if it's just you, it's fine. At least if it's honest, you won't feel ashamed.
Actually, I was watching this interview by David Lynch, whom we adore in this place, okay? And somebody asked him, so does an artist or a writer have to suffer in order to be creative, to do all that? And he said, no, this is all bullshit. Because even Van Gogh,
it's not.
The moment he was painting something that he liked, he was happy.
Of course, there is absolutely nothing worse than a suffering artist after 30, 40. When you become successful and you're still suffering, it's like, fuck you. Like, I mean, what do you have to suffer from? Like, no, because it's very hard. But if you don't suffer at the right time and in the right way, right? Because everybody suffers, but people spend precious energy in suffering over bullshit, over nothing. They get nothing out of it. Like, Werner Herzog, when he was 16, was suffering about the death of Christ. because he got religion. So did I when I was a little older. Like my mom would be like, oh, she's worried about drugs. And I'm like, but she was a Christian. So when I got Jesus, because you get it like a disease. It's like when you get it, it's like a small, tiny, like a virus of irrationality. And you know what? Let's not be so cynical, okay? I was walking around Athens here, and I saw all the big sites, right? And then I was walking some small street, really tiny church, but not even a church, it was like a room. Like, it's very near here, and it's just a room, and there's frescoes, and it's dark, and it's covered in and I saw an image of the Christ, and I remembered what I felt back then, and you understand why the proportion of humanity who has fallen prey to this wonderful, terrible thing. And my point is that if you suffer for the right reasons, if you don't do it out of your ego, need to be heard, no, if you suffer for the right reasons, no parent will ever complain about the suffering that we do complain about it all the time, but not really. No, we accept it's a beautiful suffering. And art, born of that beautiful suffering, is one thing. Art, other types of suffering don't make sense, right? Well, it's funny, it's the same as with you sacrifice your life to something that has more worth than you do. And for human beings, there's not that many options, right? It's the ones you love, it's what you believe in, be it religion or art. And the fact that we do that single thing is what makes us who we are, really. Books should be about the invisible. They should be about what science has purposely, consciously left out. And a scientific metaphor to understand this is because I tend to speak in sort of religious terms when I speak about literature or science, but I think if you think about the fact that any scientific theory or any point of view on reality is a sort of model of the world that cannot take everything in, so it leaves something out. Whatever is left out is what I think is what we used to think about as the spirit. Well, thank you very much. Now I feel ashamed.